Hi, Ed.
Hi.
Thanks for helping my project.
Sure.
Could you say a couple of words about yourself?
Well, I'm 74
Okay.
and retired. Used to work most of my career in the oil and gas industry around the world in various places. Lived over in Saudi Arabia for 5 years
Wow.
and traveled most of the oil and gas places around the earth.
What was it like living in Saudi Arabia?
Actually, it was quite nice because we lived in very good, accommodations. They were first class, the ones I happen to live in. The only thing is that you're in their country, so you follow their rules, laws, regulations, customs. You're not little America.
Do they give you like some lessons before you go over in terms of what you can and can't do and that
Yeah,
type of thing?
just that. They when I ran a business over there. I had 700 employees in 9 different nationalities reporting to me. And when people would come into the country, new people, I had to give them an orientation, say,
Okay.
you're not in little America. This is Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You have to live by their rules, their laws, and customs. And otherwise, things could be bad for you. So anyway, it was an interesting period of time. 5 years is about right for me.
I think that kind of training would be good for tourists going to any country. It's just like
Absolutely. It's the same in any country. Especially when you go to somebody's country, you're in their country. It's not little America. They might speak English. A lot of English is spoken around the world, but it's your country, or it's their country, not your country.
exactly. When in Rome, do as the Romans.
That's
type of thing.
exactly that's exactly right.
Did you know that NASA's planning some astronauts back to the moon?
I did know about it. You gave me a little bit of more detail on it than I had before, but I did know that they were trying. Yeah.
The last time I went to the moon was 1972. First time was 1969. I was wondering how those events registered in your life.
Well, of course, in '68 and '69, the race was on, and of course, I was in high school. That was my senior year of '68 in high school. So you were always, it was very exciting because and then when we actually send people up and they circled around the moon and came back, it was, and then when we landed, it was just beyond description for me because I was very young and impressionable, and it was quite exciting.
Did it make you want to be an astronaut or something like that?
I actually wanted to be. I became an engineer, and I wanted to be a aerospace engineer. But the aerospace industry fell flat in. I graduated in '68. It fell flat around 1970,
Okay.
and so I decided to be something else, mechanical engineer.
They had like 100,000 plus workforce that kind of downsized that point.
Yeah, I think maybe that's right. And anyway, we decided that that wasn't going to work for me. And then I said, okay, well, which engineering discipline makes the most money? And I said, well, it's chemical engineers back in my age. And so I said, well, I'll be a chemical engineer because they made about $1,100 a month.
Okay.
And mechanical engineers only made about $900, $950 a month.
I understand civil engineers make the least of like.
Yeah, they might have made
discipline.
$875, $900. That's about like a mechanical engineer. But it turned out I had to take a course called organic chemistry.
Oh wow.
And I said, day one, I said, no, okay, what else can I be?
Learning all these carbon chains.
Yeah,
and
it's just not my.
benzene and.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I quit.
But it worked out for you.
Yeah, I got very fortunate, and I went out of college. I went to work for General Motors Corporation up in Warren, Ohio, Youngstown area, and worked up there for 3.5 years. But they have a lake effect comes in, and you don't get much sunshine up there.
This is in Pittsburgh?
No, it's Warren, Youngstown, Ohio.
Ohio, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was a division of General Motors called Packard Electric. And anyway, we worked up there. An interesting thing, we're going to talk about space here in a little bit. The interesting thing is they made all the wiring harnesses for the General Motors cars.
Okay.
And they brought raw materials in one end of the plant, and finished product went out the other end of the plant. There's 13,000 employees in there.
Wow.
And and they drew enough copper wire, draw it down from a rod, they draw it down into fine copper wire. They drew enough copper wire to wrap around the earth 3 times every day.
I mean, that's like 24,000 miles. So that's like close to like 75,000 miles a day.
Yeah. It it was fantastic for a young engineer.
It's
Seemed like unlimited money and a lot of opportunity.
and a lot of interesting, challenging problems. And,
Yeah.
do you remember what your tools were? I mean, like now so much is like done on the computer, but
Oh, we didn't do much on it. It was I had to draw drawings by hand and with a ruler and a pencil. And the trouble is, I'm left-handed.
oh,
So what happens is when you draw drawings with your left hand, you smudge.
Right.
There's a lot of so it wasn't easy.
yeah, Da Vinci was left-handed too, and he wrote with his mirror script where he like
Yeah. See, he learned. I didn't.
that is challenging. I smudge all the time, and I'm even right-handed, so usually like the line above. You know, it's like you got to wait for the ink to dry.
Well, that's exactly right. When you're writing with ink, if it's like the old fountain pen things, you know, it was real difficult with the left hand.
Right.
But anyway,
That's why they had the blotter. You know,
Yeah,
so you could
that's
dry it out, right? So,
that's right.
whenever you think about the future of humanity 200 years from now, do you think we're like extracting resources from the moon and asteroids and Mars and places like that, or do you think we're only still doing mining and resource extraction here on Earth?
Difficult question. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of cost-related things going on in the future, particularly for the United States, because we're in so much debt.
Right.
And you know, it was huge when we decided to, it was Kennedy decided to put a man on the moon, and it was a huge undertaking for the United States then. But the costs are staggering now compared
Right.
to what they were then, and I don't know whether the cost will prohibit us doing that sort of thing. When you're saying how many hours, you said hundreds of thousands of years from now. That's a long time. So who knows? But I think we have to be more efficient with what we have here in the world, and use it efficiently, and try to be conscious of what we're doing to the planet.
Well, I mean, the cost of an airliner is like $100 million for like a 747, but you know the cost for airline ticket on that airline is a few $100, and you know because they're able to like use it a whole bunch of times. But rockets have been a one-time use type of thing, and
Right.
SpaceX is working on making them completely reusable, which would completely drive down the cost.
That's an amazing process, and I've watched them land. They shoot up, and then they come back and they land on what looks like a postage stamp. And it's pretty exciting. That's going to be obviously a big advantage. The trouble is, it still burns fuel.
Yeah.
Lots of fuel.
Lots of fuel.
Yeah,
Like
and
95% of the mass is fuel.
And so what happens is, I think we have to come up with. I just read the other day that China used a electromagnetic rail gun, to shoot a missile, if you will, up into space.
Oh, wow.
At Mach 5.
Wow, did it make orbit, or it just
I
went
don't
above
know
the
exactly.
atmosphere?
I think it had some stability problems. It went to Mach 5 though, off a rail gun into the atmosphere, but it began to spin. They said so. I think it's early technology, but think about that. You're not burning fuel.
Right.
And once you get into space, of course, there's all kinds of potential for other sorts of propulsions that don't burn fuel, like the propulsion systems that use inertia and things of this nature. So,
Like solar cells, where you like have the light reflecting off of a big sheet.
well, here's a prime example. I don't know if you ever heard of Voyager 1 and Voyager 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, they were launched in the 70s. Okay, 1970s, and I think one was 72 and one was 75 or something. And they're out at the outside of our what they call the sphere of our solar system. They're out there, and yet they're still sending messages back. I can't remember the amount of time it is for a message to go from Earth to Voyager.
I think it's like a day or two.
Yeah, it's
something
almost
long.
several days. But the thing about it that's interesting is it's every now and then. This is technology that was back in the 70s, which was ancient compared to what we have now, right? And yet, it's able to. It was sending back gibberish. It happens every so often. They don't know exactly what causes it, but there's something. But the engineers are so smart that they're able to send messages to it to correct itself, to try to self-sort itself out, and they got it. It's back speaking at the end.
It's pretty amazing, to have, human created objects like so far. So.
Maybe some foreign alien will find it.
Well, I think there's a Star Trek movie where it starts out with like a Klingon ship using like Voyager for target practice or something.
I haven't seen that one.
It's like back in the 90s, I think I
maybe
saw
it was.
So. If you could you take a trip to space?
Not at my age, no. I rode a motorcycle for 2 years, and that was enough thrill for me. I would love to see my grandson, for instance, go. Or I think it'd be wonderful for humans, whether it's America or whether it's another country. But I think it'd be amazing for humans to go back to the moon, because I think that's part of our DNA makeup as humans, is to explore,
right,
and to go places that we haven't been before. Now, we've been to the moon, yes, but the most exciting moon venture for me was Apollo 13. And the reason it was the most exciting was, that's when he said, "Houston, I think we have trouble." And they had the entire engineering, all of NASA then had to come together and figure out how could they get these people back and alive. And they did it. They did it. But it was an amazing engineering feat to get the Apollo 13 back and the astronauts safe. So that was the biggest deal for me, not necessarily landing on the moon.
I've been thinking about this. Why are sports so popular and NASA exploration missions maybe less attention grabbing? And I was wondering if it had to do because with like sports, you're like, what's the outcome going to be? And there's like this sense of it's undecided, whereas NASA does so much to try to take out all the risk and everything to make sure that everything goes according to plan.
Interesting observation. Sports, most every sport that I've ever played in or I've been a part of, is a win-lose situation. You're playing to win, hoping you beat the other team. I think in space exploration, and particularly going to the moon, was how do we get these people back? It has to be a win.
Right.
There's never, you're not playing another team, you're playing against yourself and the odds of fate, basically. So they and being an engineer is exciting to know that there's people that are capable of coming together and making those kinds of things function and work. It's an exciting thing. But I think it would be fun to go back for humans, race to go back to the moon and maybe even explore beyond that. Of a company called Blue Origin.
Yeah. They're launching their new Shepard again this weekend with people on it for the first time in 2 years.
Yeah, it's what's it called? Not Bezos. Who is it? It's
Jeff Bezos.
Bezos. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. So I don't know if you know the history behind how the Blue Origin got its name.
From the blue marble photo. Or?
No, he was valedictorian of his high school class.
Okay.
And he's taking me to high school. He's 18 or 19 years old, I guess. And he gave the speech, right? And his deal, his thing, thinking about this now, I was 18 once too, but I never had any kind of these thoughts. His thoughts were that mankind should go out and eventually they will come back to visit Earth as a vacation spot. And
right.
It's the Blue Origin. The Earth is blue. It appears blue in space. And so it's the Blue Origin. So people would come back, colonize the galaxy or whatever, and come back to Earth as the Blue Origin.
Wow.
It's kind of interesting that here's a high school kid that comes up with this mental thought. And of course, now he's trying to put things in motion in some ways, in ways he can.
I wonder if the Apollo 8 photo that they took of the Earthrise had made an impression on him.
Very well could. I don't know how old Bezos is, but I remember the images for me, just watching a little. I don't think we had a color TV. We had black and white TV because we didn't have a lot of money. But the images of seeing some person,
right,
step out and onto the thought it was quite a great image. Maybe he saw an image of the Earth. I don't know, who knows? But somehow he has this brain power to think beyond what most people think.
Wow. Well, Ed, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking to me for my project.
It's been a lot of fun. I hope your project goes well. And let's see if we can get there by the end of 2024.
I don't see that happening, but I think we'll have people around the moon by the end of 2025 and maybe on the moon by 2026 if things stay on track.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. 'Cause I think it's a good goal.
Excellent. Thank you.